Welcome, guys, to the second episode of Write Your World. My name is Peter, yet again, together with Reminac TV. We had an introduction of this creative writing course in our previous episode. So in case you missed it out, please go check it out and try to follow up. Thank you so much for those that are subscribing. Thank you so much for those that take the time to look through what we have posted out there for you, and really wish you could keep the love coming. Now, before we go to today's topic of creative writing, I want to respond to two questions. One is one person asked, how do I know I am a writer? And I know this comes from the point where you feel like you've written all your life, especially if you've been in school. And yes, but this is what you have to know, that with creative writing, everyone has a particular area in which they master, or they try to, to emphatically concentrate, to specialize. And some people are really multi-gifted, like they really can do poetry, they can do short stories, they can do the novel form, they can do the drama. But how do you know you're a creative writer? It's basically determined by the kind of work that you do, the kind of writing that you do. If you want to tell stories in brief manner, then well, you are a short story writer. Some people are very much gifted in writing plays, so we call those playwrights. Then other people are novelists because they dwell into novels, and then we have the poets and the poetesses who write poetry, and all those things. So how do you know that you are a writer? Is it as long as I can write, or do what? Oh, there is more to writing than just scribbling, like I said in the previous episode. But we can all be writers. You see, I've always told people that I interact with and those that I facilitate in creative writing that there is no bad writing. There is only writing that someone may not like, It's really subjective that much. Then the importance of creative writing. I basically wrote this into 3 to make things easier for all of us. What happens when you're a creative writer, and how is it important? Is it of any relevance? Yes, it is. One, when it is important because it provides us with the satisfaction of keeping records of significance, or of significant experiences. So one, and then 2, the need to share ideas and experiences. When we write, we share ideas and experiences. I've always told my friends to, me reading the Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist, or A Tale of Two Cities, or A Christmas Carol. It's like I've been in the UK, or in the Victorian England, and it's because he's able to share the experience of the life that is in the UK with me, who reads his work in Uganda. And also the need to free individual expressions. Like I said, if you have an itch, you want something to communicate, one of the best ways is to put it on paper. One of the people that I know says, we have a mind, yes, we have the brain, but a short pencil is better than a long-term memory. If you get a pencil and write something down, you can always remember that thing. A very good story is attached to that, but well, it's not time for storytelling. I want us to kick in right and dive into our topic for today. Fiction. We are going to do with fiction writing. Peter, are you going to handle non-fiction? It will be upon you guys. If you want me to handle non-fiction, I'm more than ready to handle non-fiction for that matter. But for now, I want us to go to the age where we have fun with writing fiction, creating stories and having them read out into, the readers. And I want us to keep one phrase at the back of our minds: show, not tell. Show, not tell. So whenever you're going to write, I want you to put this in your mind, that you have to share your story instead of telling it. How do you show it? By writing it better and explicitly, elaboratively. Okay, cool. So now let's first indulge ourselves into the concept of fiction or fictitious writing. Um, the definitions of fiction differ, but I have picked two, which I'm sure are universally presented on the web. You can go and look them up. One is a little bit subtle, but it also involves the idea of fiction, which states that this is something that is untrue or unreal, as the term unfolds. But then in literature, basically, this is work that presents imaginary events, presents imaginary characters, places, but also people, the people that are presented. That's why we can have a story, a book that has, animals instead of people, but then these animals will assume the roles of people. Now, that is unreal. We can't have talking pigs. We can't have a hardworking donkey that, can be motivated the way a human being would. And when we reach this style, we'll see that it's called personification. But that's just beside the point. So the idea is that with fiction, you have a broader area of operation where you can write everything. Now, there is a reason as to why we have fiction. First of all, as writers, you want to write something sensible but serious, but also in a way that protects you. You do not want to be condemned or attacked or arrested. And that's why we sometimes write about reality in a fictitious kind of way. Now, to sum it up with fiction as a term, we write untrue events, truthfully. Okay, we lie with truth, if you so want to say. We lie with the truth, which means we create our imaginary people, but doesn't mean that everything that we say doesn't exist. Okay, you could choose your characters to be imaginary, having imaginary names, but place them in Kampala, a city that lives. Or you could actually have real people placed in a city that does not exist. Okay, and one thing that you have to know, though, much as it's fiction, there's what we call plausibility or believability, which is basically the willing full suspension of disbelief in your readers. Your reader should read something. Yes, it's not factual, it's not true to say, it's not real, but it should make sense. They should believe it willingly, even when they know it's a lie. So the movies that we see, those movies that talk about the future, the science fiction, they're not there, but we believe them. That is willing suspension of disbelief, plausibility. Okay, it's key to your work as you're writing. Our fiction as genre or as part of literature, creative writing, like I said in the previous episode, has other items, other elements, other genres, other subgenres embedded into it. And we talked about the novels, we talked about the plays, we talked about the poetry, which of course encompasses the poems, fantasy stories, short stories, and fables. Now you may ask, Peter, how about if a novel is talking about a true event? You'd want to know that actually there's a term for such kind of writing. It may look like a novel just because of the form, but the content is not fictitious. So we can't say that is a non-fiction movie, or rather novel, no, but we would rather term that as a biography or an autobiography, which actually puts everything into the non-fiction part. Cool. These ideas will come along. It depends on what you want to do. Novels are longer and larger and cover a quite deeper sense of seriousness in theme and idea than short stories. Then fantasy is just like science fiction, only that fantasies don't rely on science. Science fiction relies on science. Fantasy, no, they will be talking about spiritual beings, magical beings, the likes of Cinderella, the Snow White and the 11 Dwarfs, and maybe Sleeping Beauty and all of things. The Beauty and the Beast, they basically rely on supernatural spiritancy other than science. Science fiction, on the other hand, the language is all there, yeah, basically that's the idiosyncrasy that lies. Then we have fables. Fables, I'll explain this later when we go to develop to the discussion of Animal Farm. Fables basically have now like Animal Farm, you can understand it in the sense as a child that animals talk and fight and do what they need to preserve this, they take over a particular guy and all those things. But also as a deeper structure, those of you that have a diverse sense of literature, you would notice that it actually follows a story, a historical event about one of the Russian revolutions. I can't remember the year, 1970 something or so, but at a deeper sense, you'll see that it's mostly to do with politics, you know, communism and then, capitalism and all those things. Yeah. And that's just beside the point. Now, I want us to go deeper in starting to write fiction. But before I even have to continue, please do not forget to subscribe and please share as much as you can this video. We have plenty that runs on our YouTube channel. Okay, first things first. Right. With fiction, how do you start your fiction piece? Okay. You would want to borrow a voice with which you want to work. What do I mean by a voice? This is technically called the point of view, and we have three as we wrap up. We have three point of views. One, we have the first person, which is the I, and which means you are going to be, all your characters going to be involved in the story. Then two, we have the second person, which we sometimes in poetry call the apostrophe or the direct address, which uses the you, and it's the least used point of view in literature. Then the third, my very own favorite, and I think most of the literal pieces, especially in the novel formats, use this. It's the third person, who is very much known as the omniscient narrator. Omniscient, all-knowing. You know, it means this person can see all the characters, but also everything that goes on in your story. You would want someone who is all-knowing. You know, we say God is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. It's like he's all-powerful, all-knowing, and everywhere. You know, omnipresent. So omniscient is all-knowing. You know, when someone goes to the loos, they are there and they can tell you everything that they do when they are there. When the abyss flies even way beyond the sky limit, they can still, that is, tell us. That is the power that a third omniscient speaker or point of view has. So our time is up. This is what we are going to begin with as in the following episode. If you have any questions, remember you can always use the comment section. Ask, we shall always get back. If need be, we can always create extra episodes for you to follow up. If you have suggestions, we really appreciate them. But most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the bell, and keep the love flowing. Bye.